Hi, it's Michael Johnson, and this is Conversations. And today we have the Senior Vice President of Worldwide Marketing and Sales at Herbalife. We have Rob Levy with us today. Hi, Rob.
Ooh, hey, Michael. How are you?
This is a fun one. This is easy to do because for 7 years, Rob and I have been working together, and Rob's actually was one of my mentors early at Herbalife, teaching me the ways of the world. We had some successes together, made a few mistakes together, did a lot of great things, but Rob's been with the company almost 16 years now. New Mark in the company, which is always great to have someone around, and Rob reminds me when I say things, well, Mark said that, and that always makes me feel good when you do that. But Rob is a powerful force in this company, deals with our distributors on a daily basis. He's responsible for all of our activities, our extravaganzas, the meetings that take place, the marketing, all the packaging of the product around the world. He has the creative services group work for him. You're a pretty busy guy. And he is responsible for distributor relations on a global basis, and a lot of our top people report into Rob. So again, welcome the second time. And Rob, the first thing I ask everybody who's on here, how do we get in this room together? Your life path a little bit.
So I started, I grew up in New York, actually. I was born in New York, in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up there in Long Island, a place called Great Neck. Went to school in Boston University. I went to college there. I went to law school out here in Los Angeles, and that's kind of how I got to Los Angeles. You and I have, our paths have crossed.
We have friends.
The Kevin Bacon 6 Degrees of Separation.
Right.
We have some friends who worked at Disney together. But before that, I worked in the aerospace business, as you did, for 10 years.
More crossing.
Yes, more crossing for 10 years, I met a guy there who I had gone to law school with, who you knew, guy you knew, and he hired me here at Herbalife, ultimately.
Why'd you come here? Why'd you come to Herbalife?
Well, you know, in a way, it's interesting. I was ready to make a career change. I was in the aerospace business.
Working as a lawyer?
I was working, I negotiated contracts, so I ran their pricing and contracts groups. I traveled the world. It was my first experience traveling the world. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted out of the aerospace business. And my buddy from law school, who you knew, who used to work many levels under you at Disney,
right?
He invited me to come over.
He was in my downline.
He was in your downline, of course, yes. And he invited me to come over to Herbalife.
And what did you think when you first came here? What did you think?
Very interesting. My first Herbalife experience was that Mark Hughes had rented out the out on the Catalina Island. What's the thing called?
The Wrigley Mansion.
And I went there for a Christmas party. Now, I had been to many Christmas parties in the aerospace business.
This is a employee Christmas party?
Employee Christmas party.
So you took all the employees from L.A. to Catalina Island, which is an island.
For the weekend.
What?
For Christmas.
20 miles off the coast or something. Yes,
and all the executives flew in helicopters. I wasn't at that point yet. I went over in the boat, and there was this incredible party, and I thought to myself, they don't give parties like this in the aerospace business, but Mark Hughes gave this incredible party. And I went up to Mark. I remember it was the only time I had was going to meet him for the next 6 months, as it turned out. And I went up to him and I introduced myself and said, great to be here. And I'll never forget that, because Mark Hughes had a way of looking people right in the eye. And you'll hear a lot of people say that, I'm sure. You've heard that over your 7 years here. But he had a way of making people feel very special. I'll just never forget that first moment that I met the guy.
First job here, what'd you do?
My first job here, I opened new markets in Asia Pacific. I was hired here, not as a lawyer, but I basically hired lawyers around Asia, and we opened all the markets in Asia.
So Taiwan, when you open a new market, just go through that real quick. You governments, importer, to explain that a little bit.
Yeah,
what you do.
Great job. You imagine you go to a new market, a new country you've never been to before.
Give me an example of a country you opened. Taiwan.
Okay.
It's a nice. Thank you for opening Taiwan, our
exactly
third or fourth largest market, depending on the month.
Yeah. It was a wonderful experience. I went to Taiwan probably a year and a half before it opened, and we look for several things. We have to get our products approved by the local Ministry of Health. We have to work with the tax lawyers to make sure that how we pay and how we receive income is for distributors and for the company is in compliance with all the rules. We have to see how direct selling rules apply in the local market, if any, because remember, at 16 years ago or 15 years ago, not every market around the world even knew what direct selling was. Now, of course, most countries have direct selling rules and regulations. So the product's long pole in the tent, probably a 1.5-year process.
Takes a 1.5 years just to get a product licensed by local authorities.
In most markets, on average, yes.
Okay.
It's interesting. Some people say, "How come we don't have more products in our marketplace?" In the United States, it's very easy. You just have to comply with the DSHEA rules, the Dietary Health Supplement Act.
Right.
In all other markets, you actually physically have to take dossiers to the ministry. You have to show them every ingredient in the product, and you have to license them, and they have to approve those products. So that was a very long process.
But also a great training ground for you.
Amazing, amazing. It was. So I had never been to Taiwan before. Actually, I had been to Taiwan before once, but in most of the countries I went to, I had never been there before. So you get to experience a whole new culture, you get to meet new people, and you get to see the world, the big world, in a small way, because what you sort of garnish from all of that travel is the world is a lot like we are.
All right. So you opened new markets. Then what? What did you do in the company?
The next job I had was I ran product licensing. It was my responsibility to license and relicense all the products around the world. So,
license means it gets approval for the product to be in the market.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. And in most places, unlike the United States again, you have to revalidate your license on a periodic basis, either every year or every 2 years or so. So you have to.
That's why we have a very large licensing department.
Exactly right.
Which distributors don't always see and they don't know. And sometimes they go, "I don't know what you guys do up there, but give me my product and my check and everything will be fine."
There's a lot of work that goes into that process. Let me tell you, yes.
Okay, so you ran the licensing department?
I ran most of the international. Yes, I ran most of the international departments here for a while.
Next, after that.
Next, after
we got 16 years to get through here.
Well, yeah, after Mark left us. Okay, that was during the time that Mark was here.
I'm going to come back to that in just a minute.
Yeah, we had another CEO, and he decided that I should be in the distributor side of the business. So I worked Frank Torelli, yes.
Frank.
And I worked very closely with Carol Hanna. So Carol and I, almost what I do now, in a way, on a smaller scale, but I worked very closely with Carol Hanna, and she taught me a lot about the business, a lot. You know, you talk about your mentors at Herbalife, she was definitely one of them.
And a good mentor to have.
Terrific. What a beautiful person, and what a fountain of knowledge in Herbalife and the way we do business. Yeah.
And then post that, because that's when I met you. You were working with Carol.
Exactly, yes. I was working with Carol, and then you had the idea to regionalize the company.
Right.
And so I became responsible for the Americas, North, South, Central America, and Mexico, and we
have an internal joke about you. We called you the Rainmaker, because wherever you went, you would, like Johnny Appleseed, you would seed all these good things, and then we'd send you somewhere else, and just after you left, those markets would pick up and go and become very successful. So thank you.
That's very nice. That's very nice. Of course, we had the best distributors in all those markets. And,
I get that, but teamwork makes the dream work, as they say.
As you say, luck is
at the intersection of hard work and preparation.
Yes,
you got it. It's right there. So go back for a second, and you were here when Mark passed away, and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, about right now, in the next month, I believe.
Right.
What happened here? What we're a different company today, I think, but we're the same company today in many ways.
I'll never forget that one either. I came home that Sunday, and there was a message from one of my colleagues and asking me if I'd heard anything about Mark in terms of him passing away. And I thought my instant reaction, and my wife, I remember, she was standing right next to me at the answering machine, and my instant reaction was, oh, there they go, going after poor Mark again, that guy. They're making up stories about him. And throughout the course of the day and the weekend, I had come to learn that it was true, and it was devastating. It was devastating, not only as from a personal relation standpoint, but I remember telling my wife, this company cannot survive without Mark Hughes, and he's the sole identity of this company. As it turns out, because of what he set up, his vision with all the great distributor leaders and the way he set up this company, and obviously our chairman's club and what would become our founder circle. he set up leadership that stood the test of time.
And we all stand on those shoulders today.
Without a
that
doubt.
group of distributors that came together in the year 2000, and there was a lot of management upheaval for the next couple of years in this company too. So that strength, that distribution system, that set of shoulders, which was many, that Mark built, was more sage than I think even he may have known at the time.
He would be so proud of what's happening today, and he would be so proud of all the leaders during that time that sort of kept it together when management was not keeping it together in the best fashion. And you know, one of the things I was thinking about last night when I knew we were going to have this conversation was, what does Herbalife look like today versus what it looked like back then? And the interesting thing is, from a distributor point of view, it looks very similar. They have to be, you know, our distributors have to be great leaders. They have to lead their organizations. And obviously the product is the star of the show, as always, and that's the same. The idea that any person can make it in this world in Herbalife is the same. The idea that we should help those less fortunate is the same on steroids, and you know, I have to really credit you and the team. But you know,
it's
obviously,
you, baby.
yeah, well,
it's you, it's the distributors.
The distributors, but their generosity and you know, the one difference is we're a lot more public. Mark tended not to want to be out there in the public. Every time he got out there, he was bashed. So you can see that he was a little. I won't say intimidated, because he wasn't really intimidated by much, but he didn't like what happened.
I think
when he was
he
out
learned
there.
a lesson in 1985 that wasn't a happy lesson.
Exactly.
So let me ask you a question. Just you know, you were here during Mark. You saw this company through its most difficult time. I wasn't here for that. You were here from 2000 to 2002 when there were 4 or 5 CEOs. I don't even remember how many there were, but there were quite a few. There was some trembling in the distributor ranks, although they kept it together, they held it together, and they built a beautiful business opportunity for millions of people, ultimately. And you've seen a lot of changes in the last 7 or 8 years in here. You've seen, you know, we as you said, we're a little more public than we used to be. We have David Beckham running around with Herbalife on his chest. That's a little more public than the company used to be. Where do you see the next 10 years? What do you see?
Yeah, you know, we'll start with brand, because truly that was in your wheelhouse when you came here. You wanted this to be a company that could shine, respected, see the light of day, and you know, I think that's the biggest number one difference. We're out there, we're everywhere. Herbalife's everywhere, and I think for employees like myself or for our distributors out there, it's the most pride-inducing part of how we've evolved.
Well, we have
years.
a lot of employees showing up every single day wearing Herbalife.
Right, and I remember you remember when I first started wearing the button, when you know, you said nobody's wearing the button, and we all started wearing the button, and now you won't find a day here without the button. I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I think
it's part of our culture. Use, wear, talk, and it should be the same language we practice and speak internally.
And by the way, Mark was definitely in great shape. He was a product of the products. Not everybody was in great shape around here and living a healthy, active lifestyle. And certainly today, the employee base is really prideful about living a healthy, active lifestyle. So I think that's wonderful. And then the next 10 years, where are we going? Well, you know, I think everything that you see and that you've expressed it publicly is the start of what I see, obviously. And I think Mark would have seen the same thing. He really did want a can of Formula One in every household. I think as we grew, it became a bigger and bigger challenge on how to do that on a global scale. And now that we're in 70-plus markets, 73, 72, 74, but going to 100, okay, we're certainly going to expand our base, our volume, the people that eat Herbalife every day. And I think the more all of us, and all of us meaning the employees and the distributors out there and the leaders, and we were talking to the new president's team about this morning, I think all of us realize that we have an important role in this whole thing, which is to practice what we preach, to eat the products every day, to be ethical, to build a business on a sustainable basis that will last generations in the future. And I see it so clearly. I told you at some point in time, one of my favorite Mark Hughes line was, "If you could only see what I see." Some people can see into the future. and some people can see clearly. Some people dream in life, and some people want things to happen, and they wish and they hope, and some people say, I see this clearly, and it's going to happen. There's no doubt in my mind that for Mark Hughes and for Michael Johnson, that the vision that he saw and that you now see, and that many of us have adopted, of course, is that this company will be the star of companies, top 100 companies, top 10 companies. It will be the basis for nutrition, feeding the world better nutrition and getting the world healthier, and it will certainly be the company that gives anybody, like it was 30 years ago, the opportunity to succeed in life, the best chance to succeed in life, right? And that this company will shine because we're much more public about who we want to be and who we are.
What are one of your hopes that you see? Hope that something changes a little bit around here to make Herbalife a better company.
I was talking to the new president's team this morning, and whenever I greet the new president's team, whenever we greet the new president's team, we always say that president's team is not your destination. It's actually the beginning of your journey as a leader. And the more we expand and the more we grow, the more we expect from all of our leaders.
Right.
And so my hope is that they all our leaders grasp that, because this company is not run by one single person. There's one single person as the CEO of this company, but this company is so big and will become so big. My hope and our challenge, of course, you say communication, I say the idea that everybody really needs to be the leader, the CEO of their own organization, and take that role seriously. And using your 4 buckets, if I may, that they're a product of the products, that they create a right and secure and stable business opportunity for everybody, and an ethical one, that they are proud of the brand, and Mark called it the button, but we call it wear, but that they're proud of the brand, and of course that where much is given, much is expected, and that everybody gets out there and gives back to their communities they live in. We can all live with that, and I know all our viewers can live with that as well.
What do you think we have to do in the next 6 months to keep the momentum alive? What's the message if I were a distributor and somewhat, let's say Get Team distributor, what would you say to me is one of my keys?
Yeah, I from what I've seen and what the numbers say, and all the observations over the many years, Herbalife works best like this. Okay, face to face, person to person.
More meetings.
Obviously, so any mechanism where you can tell the Herbalife story. So meetings are highly effective for that. That's why we're more of a meeting company than the other companies, some of our competitors. But our business works great when people can see the sincerity in the story, when they can eat the products together, when they can talk about their results together. Our business works phenomenally well. And you know it in your personal life, and everybody I know wants the energy that we have here, because we're excited, we're passionate. And so I think if telling our viewers out there in this conversation, what I think is going to be the most pivotal thing, more meetings, more conversations, more interaction with people, then we're going to win. We're going to win, and of course, all of our distributors are going to move up the marketing plan, which obviously gives us a source of pride here at the company, obviously on a day-to-day basis.
Perfect. Rob, you've given a lot of gifts to this company. The distributors love you. I hear it constantly around the world. The passion they have for you is repaid in the passion you have for them. And it's a really good deal, and we're all of great benefit. This is the home team here at Herbalife, and we're with you. We're with our distributors. We work very closely together to make sure that both the distributors and the home team understand together that we have a mission for nutrition and a great opportunity, and it's embedded in a guy like Rob Levy, who it's an honor to be with you today, and I'm so glad you're part of Herbalife.
Likewise.
Thank you, man. All the best. All right.